Hey gang, Jody Myers here. I just want to invite you into a book study, a mini book study that I'm going to be working on here over the next week and sharing from. The subject matter is contentment, learning to find contentment in your journey along the way. Learning basically, I guess that's what Morning Thoughts really has been all about, learning how to find joy and peace and contentment in the journey instead of just being so focused on the arrival point that you miss everything else along the way. And that is the story of my story. That's the story of the first 35 years of my life was really just missing that whole mark. And so when I read this section, I know so many others who've communicated to me like really struggling in this area, and I've even watched some of my own children really go through that same journey. And so when I read this, Joel Osteen, the one thing that I really appreciate about his writing, his preaching, is that he takes things that are pretty complicated and he really simplifies them, and he does a beautiful job of that in this book. So basically, it's going to roll like this. I hope you can join me. Each day, I'm going to introduce the topic briefly, share from a short section of the text, share a few thoughts, and then give you a few simple action steps to apply what you've learned. I'll even add, like in the comment section or in the description, I'll even add some scriptures and questions if you want to take it on your own time into further study. So anyway, the reason I decided to offer this mini study, like I said, is because this is something that I struggled with for such a long time. And I'm going to actually read some of my story to you, my personal story to you, because, well, first of all, I like the way I wrote this because I think it keeps it short and sweet, but it also, I think, really clearly communicates what I pray, what is on my heart to really share with you over the next few days here. So, it says, in fact, I failed the contentment test over and over because I didn't recognize or understand the power that the spirit of discontentment had over my thoughts and subsequently my actions. Content does not mean complacent. It doesn't mean that we should settle or just become comfortable. But content does mean to be able to enjoy where you are on your way to where you're going. It means to trust God's ways and timing. So for me, I would get fixated on one thing and then set my ability to be happy on that. But even when I accomplished that one thing, I'd still be unhappy. That's my dog in the background. Must be somebody walking by the house. Sorry about that. My happiness hinged on attainment. Let me say that again. Once I accomplished something, I'd still be unhappy because my happiness hinged on attainment. Back in my ice skating days as a teenager, I just knew I would be happy or satisfied when I could land an axel, and then a double flip, and then a double axel. When I passed this test, or when I placed at that next competition, wherever I was, I wanted to be somewhere else. For real, if it was winter, I wanted it to be spring. If it was spring, I wanted it to be fall. Wherever I was, I just couldn't wait to get to that next place where I wanted to be. Well, this trend continued into adulthood. In business, I would be really happy when my husband and I accomplish a certain level of success, or when we would achieve a certain degree of recognition. So basically, I spent 35 years chasing recognition and achievement. For real. Achievement, status, and recognition. In fact, I even let myself feel guilty for being a stay-at-home mom, and instead of enjoying that precious gift, I made myself work at home all day, my mind constantly on where I wish that I could be instead of where I was. My mind constantly on where I wish I could be instead of where I was. I mean, all my other female business partner friends were able to focus on their part of their business and attend all different types of meetings and really cool events with their husbands. And I really felt like less because I had to stay home a lot of that time and raise a family. In fact, I was so focused on what we were accomplishing and what I was missing that I was actually missing out on what mattered most. Let me read that again. I was so focused on what we were accomplishing and on what I was missing that I was missing everything that mattered. All I really got out of this race was frustration, insecurity, hardness, and more discontentment. For real. Discontentment feeds discontentment, right? So one day, however, I woke up on the inside. It was crazy. I woke up on the inside and recognized that my babies were growing up. Literally, I saw my daughter in her bed, and I just suddenly realized that, like, instead of taking up like this little space in the bed that she'd always taken up, she was taking up like the length of the bed. It was like she had just suddenly grown up, and I realized I had missed it. I had totally missed it because I was so focused on where I was going that I totally didn't appreciate, and I'd forgotten to enjoy where I was. I'd forgotten to enjoy the journey. So I made a decision right then and there that things were going to change. But I also realized that if my happiness was going to change, that I would actually have to change. I would have to change something about myself, or I would never be able to become happy. So that day, I dug in and began working on me. I woke up extra early to sow time into God through prayer and just spending time in the Word. And so I would just take that each morning and be like, God, I just sow this to you. I don't have time, but I'm taking this bit of time that I have and I'm sowing it to you. And I was just desperate to, I don't want to say to make up for lost time, but I guess I really did. I felt desperate to make up for lost time. And I was determined that I wasn't going to miss another moment, focusing on the wrong stuff. I was not going to let discontentment eat away not another day of my life, not another day of my motherhood. Let's see here. So I decided to become fully present when I was at home, and I began appreciating that gift for the privilege that it was. And within no time, this is the most amazing thing about God, of course, that within no time, gratitude and peace began to fill my heart. And as it began to fill my heart, it poured over into our whole home. It utterly changed the atmosphere of our family. Not only did our family begin to thrive, but I even had more time to be able to be more effective in our business, to be able to minister to more ladies, and I had more time even to take better care of my health and do some things that I enjoyed too. One of my favorite quotes is from Joyce Meyer, and she just says, "Complain and remain." And I still, to this day, I still need to remind myself of that. If I'm complaining, then I am going to get myself stuck right where I am. Discontentment kept the Israelites trapped in the desert for 40 years. Discontentment kept me trapped in my situation for 35 years. So I have to ask, what are you allowing discontentment to keep you from? And how much longer will you allow it to hold you hostage? So if you're interested in learning more about this journey, join me for the next week as we learn to become content together. I think each day will probably work out to be about 12 to 15 minutes worth of video. You can just plug me in while you're driving down the road on the way to work or while you're getting ready for the day. But I really encourage you to join me on this journey, and I would love to get your feedback. I'd love to hear your questions, hear your thoughts, hear what you've struggled with. Just really want to see this opened up for discussion. And I know not everybody out there is dealing with discontentment by all means, but I know that there are plenty of you out there like me, who've really struggled with that part of the journey. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I hope that something that I shared has helped you in some way. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And this is Jody Myers helping you get unstuck and back on the path to follow your dreams.